Hell, open the hatchport, hell.
I'm sorry, Dave, I cannot do that.
Hatch, open the hatchport.
So you all know this one, right? Yeah, okay. So when I was 5 years old, this was my biggest nightmare because my mother, for some reason, allowed me to watch this movie when I was only 5 years old. So I was like, oh my God. First you had the monkeys, then he couldn't, get into the spaceship, and then in the end you had the bed and the monoliths. But in many ways, this made me want to become a designer. And that is wonderful by itself. So when I was a child, actually, I experienced thought-provoking thoughts about how it would be in the future. You just in 2001, you would actually go to a space station. You would have a casual conversation over a drink and have a coffee and check into the Hilton and discuss international problems, when you check in an international environment on the space station. Of course, you would have beautiful women with funny hats serving you beautiful space-age food, as well as they will walk around in a weightless environment like this. Amazing scene for this one as well. Even the space suits would be very fashionable, as you can see. And this is very interesting because this is in 1968, ladies and gentlemen, before I was born. Actually, 25 years before I was born, almost. No, I'm 42, so I'm lying a little bit there. But what is interesting about that, how did you look at technology at that time? The FaceTime of Apple's products is always there, and HAL is really our Siri on our glass telephone. That is interesting by itself. But also what I think is interesting, this is my biggest nightmare from my childhood dreams. Oh my God, that monolith in there is very, very scary. But what has it done to designers? If you look at Philip Stark, for instance, when he did the Hudson Hotel in New York, this is the bar of the Hudson Hotel. Come on, you can see it is almost the same. The inspiration from one movie about space age has really made a complete generation of designers want to become designers. This I find amazing. So in 1997, I did my first commercial project, and that was a nightclub that was actually called NASA. Yeah, we had actually a call, not an email, we didn't use email at that time, or was it a fax from NASA in America, and saying we couldn't use their name, but we said it meant nice and safe attitude. They didn't really buy into it, but nevertheless, the club is still there. It's almost 20 years of nightclub, which is by the way, fantastic for a white nightclub. I can tell you many stories about strawberry margaritas and white nightclub. It's a very, very bad combination, for sure. We actually changed to non-colored drinks after a while of redoing the epoxy. But what is interesting about that, actually everything from that movie and from Space Age has really inspired me as a designer. As you can see this one as well, this is in 2001 actually, where it's a little bit more colorful and not that white. And even these two clubs, these two venues together made a Chinese gentleman call me some 10 years later and say, "Hi, this is Wang Xiaofei from Beijing, China. I would like to do a very luxury restaurant with you in Beijing." And in the beginning, I didn't really take him serious, but when he said he's just done 8,000 square meter with Philip Stark, then I am, of course, a design whore, so I jumped on a flight and went to Beijing immediately and made this because he wanted NASA. Not your NASA, but our NASA in Beijing. So we did this very, you can see, very space-age inspired design as well. And why am I telling you guys this? Because in reality, what all this is about in my world is really how to domesticate your world. So domestication really means that for me, as not a spacehead, well, you can argue I might be a spacehead in a different way than you guys. We can talk about that over drinks afterwards. But domestication also means that people have to understand the world. And I've been here all day, and it's been highly interesting. I must admit, I haven't understood much of it. For real. Come on, guys. You're talking a very advanced language. And for ordinary folks like me, or design heads, we need domestication to understand what it is about, and we'll get more into that as well. Then, of course, experience. For me, everything is experience. It can be, sitting in a small restaurant in an Asian country eating fantastic noodles can be an experience by itself. Or if you do something grand, you have to make a grand experience as well. And then, obviously, very important thing is education. More about that. So, just to tell you a little bit about me, because you think this guy from Denmark, why did he fly here? First of all, obviously, one beautiful reason is over there. Pat, we all know her. And I met her at the New York Times Luxury Summit in Miami last year. And that was extremely boring, I can tell you that. Because people, luxury, what is luxury? It's like a sentence of fluffiness. It is something which is not necessary. It's irrelevant to us. So luxury is really life. And to me, life has taken me many different places. And now here you can see, obviously, I am the one on your left, right? With a bit more longer hair, a bit younger as well. And who's the guy on the right? So this is my half-brother. And my half-brother has a German mom. And he's a bit taller than me because she said to him, Rune, his name's Rune, Rune, you have to eat more sausage. You have to be a strong boy. So she fed him with a lot of, German food. So he became very bulky in his style. And then my sister, half-sister, her mother is French, and she's been living in Denmark for many, many years. And she's actually been complaining nonstop for 30 years. You know French people, right? Always complain. You bring her a nice wine, and she's like, oh, this wine is terrible because the weather is terrible. I don't like Denmark. Paris is much better. Even the wine is not good in Denmark. It would be good in France. So on, so on. And then my other brother's dad is from Italy. And you can probably hear there's a little bit of a thing going on here with my background, right? You hear that? Do you know Irish people? Yeah, okay. So my dad, he passed away recently, but he was an Irishman, and he traveled out of Ireland with a guitar, and he became a Buddhist, and he played guitar in front of a lot of women. And my mother was the first one. It was like, bring, pregnant. And he did that quite often, I can say. He was very, very good at playing guitar. Now, I'm a drummer, and I can tell you, with a drum set, it's more difficult. It's like, hey, look at you, and then you put up the bass drum, snare, hi-hat, and before you start playing, you're gone. I mean, who's going to wait for a drummer? So the guitar is much better, just for advice. So what I got from my dad was the ability to make music, and from my mom, I got the ability to make art and design, and because she's an artist. And together with this brother, I've done a lot of music, and now I'm going to play just one snippet of the song, and for the younger audience, you might know it, because we actually went #1 in America some years ago. What about applause? Very nice, thank you very much. So why do I play music? Because I want you to know as much about me in 20 minutes as you can. What the music and the design has made me able to do as well is to work for a lot of different companies. And one of them is the Danish company called Bang Olufsen. Do you know Bang Olufsen? Good, do you like Bang Olufsen? Have you bought any Bang Olufsen recently? No. Get into the store, buy some. We just made a new beautiful speaker. It's our 90th birthday next month. It's called Beolab 90. It is only, I think it is only $100,000 for a pair. No, it's just, instead of a car, instead of 2 cars, you have a pair of speakers. But it's beautiful. And obviously, this is, well, not really official yet, but I actually just resigned as a creative director after 4 years for Bang Olufsen. But that's another story. We can have our drinks afterwards. So when I was a kid, I went with my mama from a village in Denmark, way north up, way very, very far away, almost 300 kilometers away, as far as you can get in Denmark, to Copenhagen, which is the capital of Denmark, not of Sweden. Many people in America think that. And every time we took the train, we went through a small village called Struer. And in Struer, it says like, dun, 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 next station is Struer. And I thought, home of Bang & Olufsen. And you all are aware of Willy Wonka, right? Yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I actually really thought that Bang & Olufsen's factory was like this. It was like, Willy Wonka's magic, and Oompa Loompas dancing around making magical products. Finding out 5 years ago that is really not the truth. It's more like full-bearded men engineers doing very technical stuff. And my job was to come there and help the company, obviously, come back to profit, come back to creative profit as well, which is a very important thing for a company. Also your companies, I can assure you. But also to help domesticate. Because Bang Olufsen was always, every nerd's dream. And some of you might have this product, right? It's a Beomaster 1900, and those are Japanese people taking pictures of it. Actually, a funny thing is that when this product was launched, the chairman was very old at the time of Sony. He came to Struer in Denmark, and Mr. Bang, who was also a very old man, wanted to show him the newest product. And he said, let me show you the Beomaster 1900. And the Sony chairman said, no, it's not necessary. I have it at home in Tokyo. Does that tell something about the legacy of a product? I think so. What is also interesting is that this product as well is like, in many ways, is a space-age product. It is highly sophisticated. Actually, the story about this one is that you needed to make a CD changer in that age. I mean, everybody else had it. It was like a cassette, like put on your CD, and it was like a black box. But Bang Olufsen, of course, should do something special. This one was actually 2 years delayed. And why was it 2 years delayed? Because first of all, they tried to make it with 12 CDs. It would be like 2.5 meters long. Not very practical for shipping reasons, obviously. Then second of all, they wanted the CD, when you put the CD in, always with the label on the CD should stop at the same place as it starts. Super value for customers, right? Really something that is a value. And third of all, obviously, the arm that would play back the CD should out-accelerate a Formula 1 car. And in the 80s, they were very, very fast Formula 1 cars, if you remember, like blowing up and stuff like that. However, this one does not blow up. But in many ways, it is not a domesticated product now. Because now everybody is going around with their little glass telephone, with the potato on the back typically. And this product is a very smart product. But in many ways, it is not domesticated, if you know what I mean. It's like a Swiss knife. It can do too many things for you. So really to understand what domestication for a brand is about, here's a good example. On your right is our iconic speakers. We sold 1 million pair of these speakers, which is a lot for a niche brand as Bang Olufsen. And on your left is the new version that we created after I attended the company, because when the couple, typical couple, man and woman, go into the shop and they buy a loudspeaker, it is mostly the man who's like, we need new loudspeakers. And she's like, oh God, we're gonna have totems in our living room for the next 20 years. No, I'm a loudspeaker. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's just standing there. It does nothing for you. It might play something, but it's just passive. So we thought, okay, how can we activate the female perspective? How can we domesticate our products? We did that, for one example, by adding wood in front of the speaker. And all of a sudden, the picture changed completely. Man and woman walks into a Bang Olufsen store, and she says, oh my God, I want that. That is beautiful. Before it was like, give me your credit card. I'm going to go and buy shoes. That was the reaction before. So this one has helped domesticating the product. In our other brand, called B&O Play, we did this one, which is also a speaker. And before, normally the speaker, again, is like, I'm a speaker. This one is more like, hey, who am I? And I kind of like that. It's like I'm just standing here. I play music, man. Hey, come on, touch me, touch me, touch me. And you have to touch it because you turn up and down for the music by touching it. And it's like, oh yeah, touch me more, it says every time. Okay, it doesn't, but it should really do it because it's very nice to touch the products you buy, right? It shouldn't be something you leave alone in the corner. So what I'm talking about here is that domestication for products is very important, and for Bang Olufsen it's been very, very important because we have never had better products. But we had one problem, and that was the retail experience. Retail experience is obviously extremely important to sell something. And our shops looked mostly like this. We had almost 800 stores when I started, which is a lot. Louis Vuitton have, for example, 450, and Bang Olufsen, who sells televisions, has 800. The measure doesn't really make up. But we had to change the way that the stores was, because this is not domesticated. This is complicated. For people coming in, it's like, there's too many things to touch, and at the same time, you don't touch anything. You just keep away from the products. So we wanted to make something, where you expand the retail space and expand the experience of it, and actually give you the same experience as with the products. If I do like this, you know what that is? You don't? Damn it. It is the overture of Bang Olufsen. You know, it's like 2 glass lids, and you put your hand over, and it's like, shum, just like that. And that, in many ways, is magical. And we wanted this magic to come back into the store. So we actually spent 5 months. And 5 months is very, very little in doing a store design. This one is highly technical. We had robotic engineers from Japan. We had a craftsmanship team from Shanghai. We have Icelandic programmers for the systems. And as you can see, a lot of advanced robotics technology actually to make this store concept work. And why would you do that in a store? I mean, what's the matter? It's very easy to make a great store. This is one of our flagship stores in Copenhagen. It looks nice. It has brass outside. It's very luxury, as a Chinese man would say. Oh, very luxury. And inside, it's the same. It's very nice materials. You know, wood and brass and leather and aluminum, fabrics. Very pleasant. But in reality, even then I'm a designer, I know this is very, very easy. It's very easy to have good taste. Taste is something you can adapt from around the world. It's very adaptable. But experience is something completely different. To get in depth with it. In this system, for instance, we made all the furniture because we wanted our own furniture. We did in very, very detailing to make something that was as beautiful as a product, because that's very important to me. But the challenges you have when you have to sell something by domesticating is that when you have to buy a TV, it looks like this, right? Have you bought a new TV recently? Up with the hands. Exactly. Many of you buy a new TV and you walk into this, like 55-inch Dolby surround, SCAT, HDMI, blah, 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 and I'm off. I'm a technical person, but I'm not that technical, and I don't really care. So I want something that is domesticated to me, something I understand. And when I walk into the store, I want to be presented in a nice way. If I buy a nice product, a beautiful crafted product, it should be presented in the same way. So what we did here is actually to create rotating platforms. So you sit down on the sofa over here with a nice cup of coffee or a glass of champagne, and you get actually surrounded by the product. You will be turned around. The speakers behind you, the speakers in the front, next to the TV, will connect together in a surround system, and the light will dim around the products as well. And you just sit there and you enjoy it. And then you go to the next TV, 55-inch, 80-inch, and so on, and you get experience of a testing. And what is interesting about this is that the stores we installed this now, it's merely 25 stores, the revenue has gone completely through the roof. The Shanghai store, where this picture is from, was number 300 and something before, and now it is number 2. Simply just because people walk in there and they say, wow. And actually, as a matter of fact, which is also a little bit scary, is that you can see the door is over here on the right side of the screen. And typically, a rich Chinese man walk in. Do you know how a rich Chinese man look? Typically very short, very, very big watch, luxury watch, tall woman, not his wife, walking into the store like that, and he points over, how much is that? And the sales representative would say to him, which one, the TV? No, the whole thing. So people in China want to buy the rotating platforms as well, which I take as a compliment. However, we do not do after support on this, because it is actually quite difficult to get this running smoothly. And also to explain this to engineers, it shouldn't be like, it should be like Chai Chi, something dancing or ballet or something like that. But very interesting to do that with this kind of speed, actually. The same is for the speakers. As I told you before, totems. We want to do something different. And what we have done actually is a very minimalistic speaker wall, as you see here. What happens is here, actually inspired by James Bond. When he's driving away in his Aston Martin and the number plate is doing like this, changing. Now, I'm not the same James Bond anymore. We do the same with the speakers. But we just take you enabled with your glass telephone to play your own music, and you can actually select the speakers you want to listen to, and they will simply come out of the wall. Light will dim and only focus on the speakers you're listening to. And this also is selling a lot of speakers. So in many ways, this is domestication of something that was before very difficult for people to understand. They simply didn't get it. It was like, lots of speakers and setups and stuff like that. Now you can service yourself and you can get something that actually represents the brand. And that is what I mean about domestication. Of course, experience, this is also experience we talk about. To me, experience is very important. And I did this building, my company did this building recently in Denmark, and this is actually the first independent Bang Olufsen building in the world. And now I do many buildings. Right now we're doing products in UK, in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Taipei, and so on, around the world, buildings and quite big structures. But I actually like everything in scale, and more about that. Interesting here is that it's a nice building. It's made out of brass, as you can see, beautiful location. But what this building can do is that by nighttime, you can see that the brass facade is translucent, and the light will, go in different levels of the building, of the facade, only in white, in two different color temperatures of white. And what you can do is that you take your glass telephone and you go over and you scan a QR code and you take control of the building, and you can do that for 5 minutes. And a matter of fact, this is a small village. There's only one nightclub, or disco as we call it, called Crazy Daisy. And Crazy Daisy closes around 3 a.m. in the morning. Do you know what happens at 3 a.m. in the morning? Exactly, 6 packs of beer, let's go and play with the Bang Olufsen building. That's wonderful, and that is what I talk about. That is domestication of experience. People get captured by the experience they can get. The same I do over and over again when I do restaurants. This one is in Taiwan, in Taipei, where we have done a very holistic restaurant concept for a Chinese company. Here we design everything. I like to take control of everything from chopsticks to chairs to even the roof painting, as you can see. What is interesting here is really not the interior itself. It is in China or in many Asian countries, you have the water element, because the water element symbolizes money flow and cash and wealth and feng shui for the owners of the restaurant. So in this circumstance, we actually changed the waterfall normally there is with an electronic waterfall. And this one is for our visual. This is from operating times a day, where you can see the chefs working behind the waterfall, big LED waterfall. And nighttime, they dim the light out there, and all the the spicy food makes a lot of flames, like this, and you have the water in front of it, and it's really beautiful. This kind of experiences is what I'm talking about. Domesticating, giving an experience. The same here is also actually in China, in Shanghai. This is a stone manufacturer of onyx stone. What is interesting here is that, again, with your smartphone, you can control the whole showroom. You can change the light temperature, and you can move these big, very heavy ton pieces of stone around the room, so you can see them in different light. When I'm talking about experience, this is the most important thing for me. Really to create something that you will not forget, something that you will capture, and something you will keep in mind. And this is what I really think is interesting about being here, because you have all the opportunity to do this. You, each and every of you, have special, companies and specialty manufacturers and big organizations, and you all work together. You should also work together on getting this domesticated and making it an experience for all the people who would say, I don't understand why we're going to space. They have to understand. And the best way to let them understand is to include them, not exclude them. Right. For me, obviously, education is important as well. Now I'm going to show you something personal. Are you ready for that? Are you ready? Are you sure? Do you like nudity? Okay, good. Okay, I'm happy to hear that. So normally, I'm very proud because I'm wearing my suit, as you can see. It's a very nice Italian suit, and I'm very lucky to work with the company who made them. And this is how I dress normally now. But when I was a child, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you I was dressing a little bit differently. I'm going to show you a picture from the summer of '77, where I was 78, actually, I think it was, where I was definitely the most fashionable person on the picture. I can say that for sure, as you can see here. Obviously, the fashion of that summer on all the big fashion runways was red. You can see this, red socks and red underwear and the red small wagon as well. And as you can see, the other people have no fashion sense, they're just naked. Obviously, I grew up in a hippie camp in Denmark, ladies and gentlemen, and my mother and father really believed in this as an active part of education. So I didn't really go to school either. Actually, I only captured approximately 3 years in school, first, second, fourth degree. And when I was 12 years old, I figured out I have to get out of the hippies. All these hippies like talking about, tomorrow we're going to do something together and it's going to be great. And then next day you're like, okay, let's do something. Yeah, tomorrow. So in many ways, the whole area of expertise just made me realize that I had to get away from from the hippie camp and moved to Copenhagen. And when I was 12, nudity. I'm sorry about that. I know this is America. We don't have that here. No, I moved to Copenhagen, and when I was 15, I wanted to do something different, and I asked my mother to sign my first company registration as a lighting design company. And ever since, I'm 42 now, I've been working non-stop, building my own companies, have offices in 3 countries, the most wonderful staff in the world from all over the world, Japanese, Chinese, Argentinian, Italian. I can continue to do that. My role as a creative is not to be a designer or be an architect. It is to be a curator of life and a curator of experience. And I would love to help you guys do this. Make what you do visible for guys like me. Make me become your creative director. I'm kidding, of course, but I'm not maybe. So really, what I'm talking about here, if it feels like work, you're doing it wrong. And it shouldn't be work, it should be life. And it should be fun every day. And education should be fun every day. And I'm the living proof that some people do not fit into a school. Some people just need to get out running and do stuff, as we do. Thank you very much.